there's a ditch that had washed out, and they were walking down it. The little girl found the bullet.
Oh, that's so I love museums. It's not often that you'll find one that's hands-on.
Oh, no.
You know, it's just.
In fact, we're fixing to start advertising that as hands-on
I would.
museum. Because
would.
most of our repeat customers, I mean, to be able to wear a hat and hold some guns and get their pictures made,
Oh yeah.
that just tickles the heck out of them.
Oh yeah.
And,
Genuine Civil War bullets and cartridges recovered in Central Virginia on private land with the full consent of landowner. Wow.
Tell us where you're at, Christy.
We are at
The Crooked Creek,
Crooked Creek Civil War Museum in Vinemont,
Alabama.
Alabama. And it is actually a hands-on museum, and you don't see too much of that anymore. Well, theirs was a story of love and contentment and warmth, and seeing this hands-on Civil War museum, I realized everything that was going on in the background of their lives, and it wasn't so lovey. It was very much pain, anger, hatred, murder, and death. And you know, we get to see the opposite. To be able to come into a museum and actually touch and feel all the eras that you were not a part of, but are now a part to see for you. Makes you appreciate what you've got even more, because all these people died and fought for you. You weren't even a glimmer in your mom and dad's eye, but they fought and died for your right. You know, it's just brings tears to my eyes. All these saddles over here, we don't know which is which, but a lot of the Civil War was fought on horseback. So the saddles were a big part of a soldier's life. They had to keep them just as soft and supple as possible, so they would be easy for riding. That saddlebag there could have carried a note to a higher commander in secret. The person that rode that could have been delivering messages to the other side, even. I see behind you that Manassas is going to have a 154 anniversary. I don't know what year these posters are, but Manassas, we've been to Manassas before, my husband and I, and if it's this year, we may just decide to go on down there. That is so awesome and cool.
Oh, excuse me again. Sorry about that, buddy.
That's all right. You didn't get him. There's a glimpse of how they lived.
Anybody home?
Nope. Out for lunch, I guess.
We'll have to come back later.
July 12th, 1862, I think it says. It says, tremendous victory by Confederate forces. Colonel Forrest routs Federal forces, 1,100 captured.
see, we think that's where Forrest captured the two cannons that he lost at Days Gap over here, and then got them back here at this battle. But they buried them. It tells in the book in here that Forrest retrieved his 2 guns,
Okay.
and his butternut men reverently buried them in the sand. In other words, buried them like a grave.
Oh, okay.
So, but they've
not
never
buried.
been found as far as I know.
Oh, okay. That's wonderful.
I wished I could find them. I'd probably sell them and close the museum down.
I'd probably be going out there and helping you dig them up.
Did you notice that old cook pot? That's very rare. It's marked Confederate States of America 1863. And it's written up in the Lord's book underneath it as being very rare. Stars are on both sides of it. And on the left, it does not have the Made in China grommets. It's got the buttonholes. So.
Not made in China. You're not going to see very many of those nowadays.
No. But we found out when we started research. This man from Indiana Wisconsin. He sold it to me when he found out that I had opened the Civil War Museum. He said, I want you to have this. So he gave me a price I could live with. But when I got it, it was so tattered and torn, I put it on the board, and then I had the glass cut to go over it. And the stars are hand sewn on both sides. And then when we started researching it, Cameron and Company out of Mobile in 1863 got a contract to build a batch of these for the Western armies that were fighting in Mississippi. And see, this doesn't have the white between the blue and the red like most of them do.
Yeah, the white piping.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, now that you mention it, most Confederate flags that I've seen do have the white piping.
Right. Yeah, see, this is your first national Confederate flag. Stars and bars.
Right, stars and bars.
But by 63, this was getting so tattered and torn in the battlefields, they were getting mixed up with the American flag.
Oh, okay.
So they came out with a stainless banner.
Mm-hmm.
And it was fine until it got wrapped around the stick in battle. And then it looked like surrender.
Yeah, then it looked like I could see that.
So, February, before the war ended in April, they added the little red strip.
Yeah, so they couldn't surrender as easily.
That's your first, second, and third. And this battle flag that everybody complains about, it was strictly a battle flag. There was almost 100,000 flags fall into this flag.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't understand, but they don't teach these flags in school anymore.
They don't teach a lot about the Civil War in
No,
school
ma'am.
anymore.
And the Bonnie Blue, see, it was, well, everybody thinks it was over slavery, but it wasn't.
No.
Not originally. And but the Bonnie Blue, that was your South Carolina secession flag in 1860.
Mm-hmm.
And when they voted a Confederate flag, this one got almost as many votes as this one. And if they'd have picked the blue one, they'd have never had to change the flag.
Oh, wow, that's right.
I've got a book in there that shows hundreds and hundreds of different kind of Confederate flags.
Well,
battle flags.
I am all about the Civil War, so I may be leaving with a whole bunch of those books in there.
Good.
I'm a Civil War fanatic.
Now this is a 60-pound cannonball.
60 pounds.
And see, that's Nathan Bedford. He's still got his fingernails.
Yeah.
Hey Nathan, how you doing?
This boy across the creek made me that head.
Mm-hmm.
And see, this is the head that was on him on that mannequin.
There you go.
He said, "Oh, that's Jefferson Davis." And I kept looking. I couldn't see Jefferson Davis.
No, I can't either.
On the back, it said Woodrow Wilson right on the back of it. But look where it was made. In London.
Uh-huh.
At the wax place there in London.
Right, uh-huh.
And people talk about the fingernails, and they say, well, where'd they get the fingernails? I said, have you ever seen a hand in a casket?
Mm-hmm.
Most of them you don't. But
No, you don't.
I put my general's uniform on him, and boots and shirt and everything, so. But that thing is heavy. And kids just broke his thumb and forefinger on.
Poor General.
I know, but he had a rough life.
Injured by
When
killing.
I first opened, I had this one
Mm-hmm.
And this one, she said, you know, them's restrooms in the front. I said, no, I didn't. So I told it as a joke. But then my son bought that Confederate officer saddle. That's been cut out with a knife and actually worn smooth. Then when we started talking to some of the reenactors, they said, well, heck yeah, they stayed in the saddle 12, 14 hours. And
Oh,
in
my
the middle of a
goodness.
battle, you couldn't holler time out.
You know, you don't think of those things.
No, I've never thought of it. I just figured they hop off, usually get back on. But,
That it takes too much time, and if you're ready to kill yourself, or if somebody's ready to kill you, or you're going to kill somebody else, you're not going to say, hold it.
right, time out.
I gotta go pee.
Yeah. But see, how many uniforms have you ever seen with the original pants?
No, not many. Yeah.
Because they probably had a tear where they could use this
Mhm.
without undoing the belts
Right.
and the buttons down the front.
Mm-hmm.
But that's trivia they don't tell you on the History Channel.
Yeah, you won't hear that on the History Channel.
But that's stuff that school kids never forget.
Oh, so that fence there is a Confederate homestead. This is a Northern homestead.
Oh,
You know why you can
yes.
tell? You know the story about the tombstones?
Uh-uh.
If you ever notice your Confederate tombstones, a lot of them have some point.
Uh-huh.
And the reason behind that is
They didn't want any
they
federals to
didn't
come
want
sitting on.
the Federal Union to be sitting and resting.
Well, I'll
on
be
their
darned.
tombstone.
That sounds like
And that's
that's
supposedly
a good
true.
story I'll tell
Supposedly
people.
to set up, no, it's supposedly the way it supposedly is. Some of the stories I've got from even like up at Jefferson Barracks,
Right.
that, you know, there's a few of the Confederate grave sites and stuff up there, and that's the story behind it.
This lady from Winfield, she asked me if I would display a horse blanket.
Yeah.
I said, sure. I thought I was going to get a saddle blanket. One that went on the horse. That's a skint horse made into a blanket.
This is a skinned horse.
You know what his name was?
I'm afraid to ask.
Supper.
Supper?
Well, see, the Confederates, they didn't carry a lot of supplies with them. And when a
Just
horse
like-
fell and broke his leg.
Just like the aspect of the tent, if you notice, even like the way you got it set up.
Yeah.
Branches.
Uh-huh.
Hold it.
Well, that's what-
Available. You
That's-
don't have to carry your poles.
That's like these darn knives. They show in these movies where the men run up a hill with a knife or a sword in their hand, and that was very rare because
Yeah, it was.
they didn't take knives to gunfights even back then. Now that's a real rare. It's dated 1861, and it has Widowmaker engraved in it. And Bell and Davis were Confederate contractors.
Hmm.
And that one's got Yankee Slayer stamped in it.
Yeah, I just saw that.
And this is a 75 caliber Confederate imported Jaeger musket.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a bayonet that'll fit it.
Well, that fits it?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
And the Indians that fixed that up and put the beads in doeskin, he probably didn't shoot that off horseback but once.
Yeah.
Because when he crawled back on the horse, he figured he'd just ride around and hold it and look mean.
Yeah. And hope they'll run the other way.
Well, heck, they could shoot 6 to 10 arrows in the same amount of time it took to load that thing once.
Mm-hmm.
And they were probably a lot more accurate with a bow and arrow than they were with those old muskets.